There are winds that carry sand, and then there are winds that carry something else. In the old Bedouin tales, it is said that before someone dies, the wind changes. It whispers their name, and when the storm comes, it doesn't just bury the land, it brings back what was buried long ago. This is the story of a man who ignored the warnings and lived to regret it. In the dusty archives of history, few legends chilled the soul quite like those of the deserts of Arabia. Here where scorching sun meets endless dunes, where towering shadows dance at noon, and ancient secrets sleep beneath the sand. Our tale begins with a whisper of the wind, not just any wind, but the harbinger of death, also known as the devil wind. This wind carries more than just grains of sand. It carries whispers of the afterlife. To the Bedouins, the nomadic tribes that have roamed these lands for centuries, the sound of the sycamore was a prophecy. It was a message carried on the breath of the dying, a lament before departure. More ominously, it was said to be the voice of the dead, those who lie beneath the desert sands, stirring in their eternal slumber. The storm is coming. The dead are rising. Our story follows Abdullah, a young man who never quite fit in with the rhythm of city life. Born and raised in the sprawling metropolis of Riyadh, Abdullah found solace in photography, capturing the essence of towering skyscrapers and the intricate details of traditional architecture. But something inside him yearned for the raw, untamed beauty of the desert. So when an unexpected commission presented itself, a chance to photograph ancient ruins nestled deep within the Nejd desert, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed his camera and set off on a journey that would change his life forever. Accompanying him on this expedition were 3 companions. First was Faris, his childhood friend, a loyal and steady presence who shared Abdullah's thirst for adventure. Then there was Layla, a journalist captivated by forgotten Bedouin legends, seeking to document these tales in her writings. Finally, a local guide whose weathered face and quiet demeanor hinted at a deep connection to the land and its mysteries. Their journey was long and uneventful. Days spent traversing the seemingly endless sandy expanse. The only sounds the hum of the engine and the laughter of their companions. But as they ventured deeper into the desert, a palpable tension began to build. The playful banter gradually faded, replaced by an uneasy silence. The wind, once a constant companion, now seemed to whisper secrets best left unheard. And when Salim finally announced their destination, a shiver ran down Abdullah's spine. "This is far enough," he said, his voice unusually grave. "Why?" Abdullah asked, sensing the gravity of the situation. But Salim merely shook his head, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "There's a place ahead," he finally spoke, his voice low and urgent. "A village swallowed by the sands. No one has stepped foot there since the war." Layla leaned forward, intrigued. "What war?" "The war of the lost souls," Salim whispered, his eyes distant as if seeing something beyond the dunes. Before Islam the dead rose, the sandstorm took them all. As darkness descended, casting long shadows across the dunes, they made camp, each man lost in his own thoughts. The crackling fire offered little comfort against the encroaching darkness, and sleep, when it came, was filled with uneasy dreams. In the morning they awoke to a sky heavy with foreboding. The wind, now a constant roar, whipped around them, carrying with it a fine mist of sand that stung their eyes and scratched their throats. Yet they pressed on, driven by a morbid curiosity and a determination to capture the essence of this desolate landscape. They found the village half buried beneath the shifting sands, a silent testament to a tragedy long past. Broken pillars, collapsed roofs, and walls cracked like dry skin told stories of lives abruptly ended. As they explored the ruins, Layla discovered a stone slab, intricately engraved with symbols that seemed both alien and familiar. "These aren't just decorations," she said, her voice hushed with awe. "They're protective markings against something evil." Ferris joked nervously, "Like ghosts," but no one laughed. Even Ferris's usual lightheartedness could undispel the oppressive atmosphere that seemed to cling to the ruins like a shroud. Then it happened. The wind shifted again, and they heard it, a low, guttural hum in the distance, growing louder by the moment. The sand began to swirl, and from the horizon, a wall of darkness surged towards them, fast-moving, thick and hungry. A sandstorm. But this was no ordinary sandstorm. It was as if the desert itself was rising, its fury unleashed upon them. Trapped within the crumbling walls of a large house, its roof still intact, barely, they huddled together in the cold, stale air, watching as the storm raged outside, determined to erase all trace of their presence. Inside the house, as the storm howled outside, they found a lantern and a small table, on which lay a stack of yellowed papers. With shaking hands, Abdullah unfolded the fragile pages, revealing faded Arabic script, each word a cryptic verse from ancient lore. Suddenly, Layla gasped, pointing to the window. Outside, the storm had taken on a life of its own. It twisted and writhed as if a giant unseen hand was pulling it this way and that. And then, as if summoned by their presence, it seemed to focus on the house, its intensity growing by the moment. At that moment, the wind outside changed. It no longer howled, it whispered. Not just the sound of sand, but distinct voices, uttering names, their names. Fear tightened its grip on Abdullah's heart. "I just heard my brother's voice," Ferris whispered, his face ashen. "That's my grandmother," Layla murmured, her voice trembling. For a moment, the whispers continued, relentless and mournful, and then just as abruptly as they began, they fell silent. An eerie stillness descended, broken only by the relentless pounding of the wind against the walls. When the silence stretched on, Abdullah finally broke it. She answered the call. He whispered, his eyes fixed on the door. They watched in horror as the door creaked open, revealing a swirling vortex of dust and darkness. From the opening, tendrils of wind reached out, icy cold, beckoning. At the threshold stood a figure draped in flowing robes, its face obscured by a veil. Then it smiled, revealing teeth that were sharp and long. The creature beckoned again, stepping aside to reveal the darkness beyond. One by one, the faces of their loved ones appeared, etched with pain and longing. They called out to them, their voices echoing with the pain of 1,000 lifetimes. It was a symphony of sorrow, a requiem for the lost souls trapped beneath the sands. Realizing the danger they were in, they barricaded themselves inside, the flimsy table and chairs offering little protection against whatever lay beyond. The storm intensified, shaking the very foundations of the house, and they huddled together, their whispers swallowed by the roar of the wind. "We have to leave now," Salim shouted, his voice strained with urgency. But Abdullah's gaze was locked on the door, his mind grappling with the reality of their dire situation. Suddenly, the door burst open, and from the swirling dust, a hand reached out, skeletal and cold, dragging. Abdullah stumbled back, fear constricting his throat. The room grew colder. The stench of decay, like that of a charnel house, filled the air, and from the corner of his eye he saw Salim vanish, his screams cut short by the howling wind. Terror gripping his heart, Abdullah turned to flee, only to find the door blocked by another figure, this one shrouded in a black veil, its face hidden in its depths. The creature beckoned, its voice a silken whisper promising peace, but Abdullah sensed the sinister truth behind its words. He found himself drawn to the window, compelled by an unseen force to step outside. As he hesitated, Ferris appeared, his face drained of color, his eyes vacant and staring. Without a word, he stepped into the swirling vortex and disappeared. Understanding dawned on him. The storm was no natural phenomenon. It was a living entity, a devourer of souls, and it was calling to him. With a sense of dread settling over him like a shroud, Abdullah turned back to the room, his gaze meeting the expectant eyes of the veiled figure. He knew that resisting any longer was futile. His fate was sealed. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the storm, ready to face whatever awaited him.